Okay, this is my video that I'm taking on my new purchase. It's a rigid 7-inch job site tile saw with stand. You would think that they would sell all tile saws with stands, but they're apparently doing you a favor on that because they even tell you so. See, the stand is a $59 value. Anyway, this was bought at Home Depot. I think I paid about $300 with tax and title and everything. It was about 300 bucks. It's not a tile saw that I'm happy to have. However, my tile saw has died, and so I need something to work with, and in the past I've just gone ahead and rented one. Well, when you rent a saw for a 24-hour period, it's about $65, so if you do that 3 days in a row, then you can have this for $300 straight and own it and don't have to worry about taking it back, and that's the reason I bought it. More than likely, I will use it long enough to get my other saw fixed, and then I will sell it on Craigslist, and I will probably try and get $50 off on it and sell it for $250. But I went ahead and did the setup process today. Honestly, I've never bought a wet saw straight out of the box, ever. The saws that I have gotten, oddly enough, have been at pawn shops, and my very first one I had 15 years ago was the best one that they ever made, which is a Tilematic. This is not even close to Tilematic. I'm not real happy about it. Again, you know, it's my workhorse. I need a tile saw in order to work, so I had to buy this. The Tilematic, which was blue, powder blue in color. I've had two of them, and through the years of using both of them, again, both the pawn shops that I bought them, the motor, much larger, twice the size motor, has died on it, and I had one reworked, and the other one is sitting out in my shed right now, and I haven't had a chance to do anything with it, because in the meantime I bought the next phase of Tilematic. Husqvarna bought up Tilematic, and so anyway, I bought a Husqvarna, a $1,200 tile saw, retail. I bought it at a pawn shop for about $450. About 3 years ago. Well, that Husqvarna died on me last week, and so I had to go to Home Depot and rent a saw to finish up that job. And then right after Christmas, I decided I'm going to go ahead and just purchase this one in the meantime, so I can get my Husqvarna fixed and I don't have any time pressure or constraints. Anyway, getting to this one, as I said, I've never bought one straight out of the box before, so the box was relatively big, relatively heavy, and I thought, well, you know, I'm going to spend a couple hours setting this thing up. Oddly enough, and not having read the directions, because, you know, I can put things together fairly easily, this was fairly easy. There are 3 bolts and spacers that go in the top of here. There's one here, here, and here. Spacers go inside the holes of this guard, this aluminum guard here, rail rather, and at the bottom there are nuts, opposing nuts, and let me see, well, you can't see it now because I have the pan there, but then you have 2 other ones, so there's 5 altogether. There's 2 other bolts with the same washers and then the same nuts, so you can see the nuts here. That's all there is to getting this arm attached to the frame. And the frame is relatively sturdy. You know, it's die-cast aluminum or aluminum alloy or something like that, so it's relatively light and it's relatively simple to put together. The only other parts that I really had to put together was the 2 bolts and spacers. There's one here for the 2 legs that tie together, plastic spacers in between, and then the clips. There's clips for these legs. These legs are adjustable 2 times. There's one hole and there's another one here, so it can go shorter than it is, but it's already quite short to begin with compared to what I'm used to. And so here are these other clips, and these clips, of course, you know, you can take them off and completely do away with the stand and just have it sitting on a table or something like that, I suppose. This is a lot different from what I'm used to. The horsepower obviously isn't up to par to what I'm used to either. The table is why I've never purchased another saw other than Tilematic / Husqvarna. With those tables, the tables actually are freestanding. They don't have a tie down. These get tied down to the rail by virtue of your rollers, and I'm not happy about that. I've seen tile saws in different places over the years, and I'm always kind of smiling to myself because I have a Husqvarna, or otherwise known as Tilematic, which doesn't have that feature that people seem to like. If you can imagine these rollers that are locking into the bottom rail not being there, and just having your rollers sitting on that blade right there, same as over there, so you can move this table off the pan anytime you want to. That helps, that I can move that table off and I can do my back cuts without the impedance of the table there, is a big deal to me. Plus, this construction method that they use is much better on those saws than this one. Again, plastic tub. I'm used to a metal tub, or aluminum tub rather. There's just some nuances about this that I don't like particularly. Getting back to the setup process, there's absolutely no way to adjust or readjust this arm onto that rail. You know, those bolts and nuts fit on there perfectly and for a reason. The problem that I'm having with already, and I hadn't even turned it on yet, but the problem I'm having with no adjustment on there is this saw comes with a laser guide. So when you turn the button on, by virtue of a couple batteries you put in the handle, when you turn the button on, you know, you get this laser guide, right? The problem is, look at that laser. The laser beam shoots off to the right. Okay, it's not down the middle. It's down the middle way up here, but it's not down the middle over here. But as you pass it through, look at that. The laser, you can see it now, the laser adjusts to the center. So you're not going to be able to really rely on that laser, and I never really have anyway, because obviously you can't adjust anything that has to do with the arm. All you could probably do is adjust the laser beam itself. I haven't looked at that. The other problem is already this table moves just slightly. Okay, so that's probably, I don't know, a quarter of an inch or so that this table moves. There's no way to tighten this table from what it is already. You know, the rollers are what they are, and they're locked in there. And the tightening of the rollers are these nuts right here, and of course that's been tightened already. So this movement that you have in here, you cannot guarantee a straight cut every time, which is okay. What I would be used to anyway is passing the tile through the blade with the line that I marked on the tile rather than the laser. So I'm not even going to worry about the laser at all, but I'm just saying that's what you get for $300. The thing that I do like about it, and I don't know why, is that this has a plunge effect. So if you loosen that up, you can actually do plunge cuts. For what reason? I'm not really sure. If I'm going to do a square cut in the center of a tile or something, I'm not going to do the plunging. I'm just not going to. Maybe I will with this one, or at least try it. I usually turn the tile upside down and do a back cut, come up under here. I'm more comfortable with that. But I do like that capability of having that plunge. And then of course on this other slot right here you have the 45. So if you want to do a 45 cut, you just loosen that up, turn it, oops, I'm going to turn the plunge upward. So let me see. There you go. Now you can turn it at that 45 and get your 45 cut. So that's kind of cool, although again, that's one of those things that I probably never use. I didn't have it before, and I don't have a need for it now. But it is there. So there you go. Otherwise, pretty blasé. You know, you got a pump, you've got a little area that they cordoned off, make sure that all your sediment and debris doesn't get into your pump area. So it's like a little dam type of area. The plug, where is the plug at? I think is on the side. Yeah, the plug is on the side over here. So the plug unscrews for your water, you know, to egress out of your saw when you're done. I'm used to the plug being up in the front of my saw, so they put this one at a convenient spot sort of, because the rail is right in the way, and normally I'm dumping my water into a 5-gallon bucket. Well, I'm not going to be able to do that with this saw, because, you know, they just put stuff in the way where the plug's at. The plug really should have been back here, so that, you know, you can put a bucket or something and drain it when you're inside a house. But, you know, it is what it is. Other than that, like I said, the legs adjust by ×2. I mean, there's one adjustment there, and then you got another hole on all 4 legs. What I'm not used to, the Tilematic, again, has a rail that goes across here. And they were smart enough, Husqvarna was, when they bought the company, to put 2 holes in the rail. And ditto in the back, so there's a rail that goes across those 2 legs with 2 holes in it. And what I did is I put in casters, so through those holes I managed to get 4 casters. So I never have to dump my water or break down my saw. If I need to move it, I can just roll it. In this case, these legs don't go horizontal, they go vertical, and there's really no way to put casters on here. So the design feature that Husqvarna had, I guess, kind of fell deaf on rigid. But that's convenient for me for a lot of different reasons, because I do major bathroom renovations and I need to move the saw infrequently, and when I do, it makes it easy. This one's light enough, I suppose, that the casters aren't a big deal, but I'm going to try and figure out a way to make that happen with this one if I own it for any period of time. Otherwise, it's an okay saw. If I were a homeowner and just doing a DIY project, you know, I probably wouldn't mind owning it, but for my purposes, it's you know, it's a Volkswagen where I need a Cadillac. And, you know, the Volkswagen will still get me from point A to point B, so, you know, I'm not going to complain too much. But that's my take on it. And so if you've got one of these, that's what's going on with it. I haven't turned it on yet. From what I understand, it's quite loud. Obviously, you got a smaller motor, it's going to be louder. Another little odd feature, at the end of the day, rather than unplugging the saw, you can simply take out this little plastic thing that's on the on and off switch, and then it disables the capability of turning the saw on or off. Of course, if you ever lose that, then you're screwed. So I'll probably never use that feature. I'll just leave it snapped in there and never mess with it. I'd just rather unplug the whole thing. So there's my take on this saw, and if you have one, then, you know, I feel sorry for you. Unless you're a homeowner, in which case it'll be okay. So there you go. Oh, just one more thing about this particular saw. Probably the only feature that I like about it, period. This has a little door opening for the blade. So inside here you have where your water goes through, you know, the pump mechanism and all that stuff, and then it shows a little wire there for your laser. But what they did is on this locking nut for the blade, they actually have an Allen wrench that goes in there, so that you can actually stick the Allen wrench in there and hold it in there at the same time. You know, you take your adjustable wrench or whatever, they supply an open end wrench here, but you can actually turn that at the same time you're locking in, you know, the spindle. And that's convenient, because on my saw I actually have to get a locking mechanism. What are they called? It's an adjustable wrench that locks in, and so I actually set that on there first before I can take off, or I set that and hold the blade, and then I'm able to turn the nut on that. So that they actually designed this in a very friendly way is kind of a cool little thing that I'm not used to, and so that'll be nice when I have to change the blade out, if I have it that long. And I went ahead and plugged it in, just so you can get an idea. It is quite loud. So no doubt I'm going to be using ear protection for this thing, which normally I never had to before, but listen, this is really loud. When I'm talking, you can't even hear me talking. It's very difficult, and even a louder voice, for you to hear me, because that thing is really, really loud. So I'm sure my customers will appreciate that.